Hi guys. Today we're going to learn our first linear equation. A linear equation is an equation that when you graph it, it forms a nice straight line. Now we will not be actually graphing in this part of chapter 5. We're going to save the graphing for the second part of chapter 5. So for this part of chapter 5, we're really just going to learn about how to write the equations and how to get these equations that eventually we will turn into a picture of a nice straight line. Today's linear equation that we're going to be learning is called point-slope form. Now, before we learn point-slope form, I want to review with you really quickly our most important equation of the chapter, which is our slope formula. So we learned our slope formula yesterday. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that will tell us our slope, which we use the letter m to represent slope. Today, we're going to add to our formulas point-slope form. Now, the reason why our slope formula is the most important formula of the entire chapter is that all of our other equations are going to come from our slope formula. To create point-slope form, you're going to take your slope formula, you're going to throw some parentheses around the x's in the denominator, and you're going to take those x's and you're going to slide them over next to the letter m. So you're putting parentheses and then you're sliding it up, and that makes point slope form. Notice in point slope form, we have y minus y, just like up here. We have x minus x, just like down here. The only thing that's changed is we've slid this over, and there's one other thing that's changed. In our slope formula, we have a y2 and an x2 because we were plugging in an ordered pair here. For point slope form, this x and y are going to stay letters. So the first thing will be a letter y, the second thing will be a letter x. We are going to replace the m with the slope, and then the y1 and the x1 are going to come from a point. That's why it's called point slope form, because it has a slope and it has a point. All right, let's try a problem. So today we're going to focus on just given a point and a slope, let's write an equation. So here, I've told you in the directions very specifically, I want an equation in point slope form. And I'm telling you that the slope is 2/3. And I'm giving you a point, which is 2 comma 1. And that's all the information we need to write in point slope form. That's why it's called point slope form. We need a point and a slope. But I'm going to go ahead and start with my slope formula. So again, our slope formula, definitely want to memorize this. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 equals my slope. The one thing I'm going to alter on my slope formula, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those little 2's. So it's just y minus y1 over x minus x1, because I only have one ordered pair, so I don't have a second ordered pair. Next, I'll take the information given to me and I'll plug it in. So the 2/3 is going to go over here where the letter m is. When you're plugging in the ordered pair, make sure to be careful and put the correct number with the correct letter. So the 2 is the x coordinate, so it's going to go on the bottom. And then the 1 is the y coordinate, so it's going to go on the top. Just be very aware of where your x's and your y's should be. Once I've plugged everything into my slope formula, I'm going to throw those parentheses around the bottom. I'm going to slide it on over, and ta-da, we're done. That's it. That's point slope form. Don't do anything else. Point slope form is supposed to have parentheses in it. It's supposed to look like this. So I know that, we have this natural instinct where we see parentheses and we're like, I gotta distribute. Not on this problem. This is my final answer. All right, why don't you try a couple of these on your own, and then we'll check our answers to make sure we're doing it correctly before we try tonight's homework. So feel free right now to pause the video and try these two problems on your own. When you're done, you can restart the video and we'll talk about the answers. Make sure you have your answers written on your paper before you listen to the explanation. Let's take a look at the answer of the first one. Now, the first one's a little bit tricky because one of the numbers is a 0. So if you have a 0 as one of your coordinates, you actually don't have to write it in your final answer. And so for my final answer, I didn't write y minus 0. I just wrote the letter y. So if you have a 0 in your ordered pair, don't feel like you have to write the 0. Now you'll notice that I do still have my x in my parentheses. That's mandatory. That has to happen. So x minus 12 is important. For the second answer, again, a little bit trickier. One of my numbers in my ordered pair was negative. And when you plug a negative into the slope formula, you're going to be subtracting a negative, and you do want to change that to adding a positive. So if one of your ordered pairs has a negative number in it, you can start with minus negative, or what I like to do, instead of writing minus negative, like in my head, I say minus negative, but when I'm actually writing it down, I say minus negative. And instead of writing another negative sign, I write it vertically to make it a plus sign. So that's how you can do minusing a negative. So again, notice that the 3, which was negative originally, turned into a positive. And that's always going to happen. Whatever sign your number is in the ordered pair, it's going to be the opposite sign when you plug it in, right? Our 12 was a positive 12, but it turned into a minus 12. Our 14 was a positive 14. It turned into a minus 14. So that will always be true. All right, guys, that's it for today. And we'll do the more difficult point slope form problems in tomorrow's video.